What's up, guys? Athena Bella here, and I'm bringing you yet another guide in Pokemon Legends ZA. This time, I'm going to be going around and showing you some of the best bench resetting locations that I was personally able to find. This is by no means all of the bench resetting locations. There are a ton of benches in this game. The ones that I'm showing you are ones that I just know are in range of some shiny, like some alphas that you can shiny hunt, or some rarer spawns that'll make it a little bit easier to shiny hunt. So I do hope that these help you today. The first one I'm going to start with is in Zone 6. Right over here, it's got the Houndoom, the Houndour. It's got those guys in it. As soon as you take the flight path to Zone 6, you're going to run right in here. Go all the way over to where the Houndoom is. I mean, the flight path, or the bench itself, not the flight path, I apologize, but the bench, you know, you're going to be resetting by this alpha, but it's this bench right here. And if you reset at this bench, this will reset for the alpha Houndoom. You'll also get the Houndour, because they are right next to it. Once this cutscene is done here, you'll see. So, like, this is in range of the Houndoom and the Houndour right there. It'll also cover the Metatite that spawn in here during the day. I'm pretty sure the Metatites only spawn during the day, but also if you climb up this ladder, this bench will cover the spawn for this static alpha Pikachu up on this roof. That is what this bench covers. The next one I'm going to cover for you guys is going to be in Zone 18. Up here, you'll probably recognize it because it's got the Bagon, the Salamence, Fennekin. It's got all the good stuff, and the bench spawn location that I'm going to show you covers all kinds of good stuff. From your flight path, you're going to go in here. Just before you get to the Salamence, there's an alleyway here that's going to lead you past the big bunny. Go out the gate here, climb up the scaffolding. It'll take you to the rooftop. By the way, just so I don't have to climb down and show you, this bench method that I'm going to show you will also cover this little Trubbish right here. It will also cover the Weedle, the Kakuna in this tree, the Weedle in that tree. It does not reach the two Weedles back here, but it does reach these three trees right there. Anyway, just so I don't have to jump down and show you, climb up the scaffolding until you get to the very, very top. It is tall scaffolding. I am awful at running across these. I don't know how many of y'all are. Let me know in the comments. How many of you fall more than you actually successfully make it across? I definitely fall more than I successfully make it across. So, this bench at the very, very corner, when you reset it, it covers a lot more than you would expect it to. It's got a lot in there. It covers the Bagon that is down on the ground, the two that spawn with the, as you can see, there's an Alpha Bagon down there. Then you have the Salamence, the static Alpha. If you look straight across, it covers that Fennekin. During the day, it'll cover the Swablu, and at night, it will cover the Noibat and Noivern. It also covers the Big Bunny. And then, as I showed you before, the trees and those trees right there, it covers those, as well as the Trubbish that's right there in the alley. So you can get a lot done from this bench right here in Zone 18. The next one that I've got to show you is in Zone 15. I never can remember where anything is. Zone 15. This is another one where you're going to have to bob and weave and hope you get to that bench quickly. But once you're on that bench and you're resetting, whether it's with a turbo controller or not, you can generally do it fast enough to not be attacked by the alphas. So this is the zone that's got the Pumpkaboo, the Gourgeist. During the day, it has Scolipede, Whirlipede, and Beedrill. And if you take this bench right here and you reset at it, during the night, you've got the Shuppet, the Bayonet, There's Haunter here that you can also get at night. And you can just reset for that, but it doesn't just cover this area. You can see that all those spawned in. If you go out this one right next to the bench, as I get hit, and you go around the corner here to this little elevator. It does cover the rooftops as well, and more of the rooftops than you would actually think that it would. Go across the netting right here. The bench covers these Larvitar right here. I actually got a shiny alpha Larvitar from doing this. I'll have to show you the video. I'll put the video in here. But it covers the Larvitar. It does cover this Bellsprout right here. Even better, it covers that Hawlucha just across the way. Just jump over and check it. It covers that. As long as it's most of the time, that Hawlucha will spawn in this corner. And that's where it'll cover it. If it's all the way over there, it won't cover it. However, it will cover the Eevee that spawns over here as well. There's usually an Eevee. I don't know if it's a day-only spawn. There's an Eevee that'll sometimes be right here, or it'll be up here in this grass. I think it might be a day-only spawn up here. I'm not real sure, but sometimes there'll be an Eevee up here, and it will cover the Eevee as well. I have tested it, and I do know that it covers it. It is less than 50 yards away from the bench that's right down there in that courtyard. The next one is not actually in a zone. For the next one, we're going to go here. I don't actually know how to pronounce this sector. I keep calling it Jaune. I'm pretty sure it's not John. Pretty sure it's not Jane. I'm pretty sure it's none of the ways that I pronounce it. Anyway, it's going to be right here. It's just a little bit to the east of the plaza, off of the street, up on the roof, and I will show you how to get there. Okay. Well, on my way to showing you how to get there, I got a shiny fletchling. We'll just snag that real quick and be on our merry way. All right, for this rooftop here that I'm going to show you next, that's off this street, you're gonna fly just to zone 8, turn around and run straight down this street all the way down here. And I mean all the way down here, quite far, until you reach the very end. And here at the end, you're going to turn this way, and there is a ladder that will take you all the way up. Once you're up here, climb on up and jump over. We're going to follow this rooftop around, cross the boards right here, up again. You'll see little water monkey right there. Climb up until you see this Absol right here. You're going to go past the Absol, and as soon as you get here, you'll see this little monkey, and there is a bench right here. If you reset at this bench, you cover quite a few good things. You get the Absol, you get that Pan Sage, and I'll show you what else you get as soon as we're done with this cutscene. But from this bench, we cover that Absol, which actually tends to be alpha, like surprisingly a lot. That monkey right there. Not only that, but also down here, there's several Trubbish. There's one. I think there's 3 total down here. There's 2. Pretty sure there's 3 total, but you also cover the Shalfa Garbodor right there. So covers all the good stuff right there. Mostly, though, I do it for this Absol, because who does not want a shiny alpha Absol? The next one that I'm going to show you is also in this same sector. We're going to, or in the same zone. We're going to go down to sector 2, however. I'm going to put a little marker there. And then I'm going to fly down to zone 20. From zone 20, we're just going to run up this way. And And the great thing about this one is it covers a lot of good stuff as well. I'm going to cross over. The bench is down on the side over here. As you can see, there's a little stand right there. This time it has a Swirlix. It alternates between a Swirlix and a Spritzee, which is really pretty nice. But it's this bench, this first bench that you're going to sit in. And then in order to get up to the roof, so it'll cover that Swirlix or Spritzee, whichever one is spawned in at the time. You're going to jog around the side of the building. Take this ladder up. For the most part, you have just some little things that spawn up here. Nothing that's super of interest, but at night in this area, and I will show y'all, there is a Mawile that spawns. There's Pidgeys and stuff. It does not cover that Floette or Flabebe. But it does cover the Pidgey. It covers there's a couple monkeys that spawn down here that it covers. Looks like there's only one right now, but there's usually two, and it will cover both of them. It'll cover everything down in this courtyard, the couple Ekans that are down there. So it does cover that. Let me reset, and I'll show you where the spawn is of the Mawile. I do this one primarily for the Spritzee and Swirlix, as well as the Mawile. So now that it's nighttime, you still have the Spritzee and Swirlix spawn right there. That doesn't change. In fact, most of this doesn't change. The only thing that really changes is that you do get the Mawile spawn, and you do get a Haunter spawn as well. So once you climb up here at night, right behind this little thing, oh, it's a Shuppet right now. So it does alternate between Shuppet and Mawile, but a Mawile will spawn there. And it does still cover the monkeys, the Pidgey, the Bellsprout. And then down in here, there's the Haunter spawn right there. You still have the Ekans down here, but you also get the added benefit of that Haunter. And there's a ladder right there to climb back up. If you do fall down or you do go catch something down there, there is a ladder back up. The next one that I'm going to show you is going to be in Sector 7 of the same place that I can't pronounce. Jaune, whichever, Sector 7. But we're going to go up to this little elevator right here. The fastest travel you can go to is the cafe. And it also has a lot of good stuff. It covers a part of, I believe, section 19. Or Zone 19, I guess you would say. It does cover part of Zone 19, including some of the important stuff like Eevee, which is really nice. So once you get up on this roof, you're going to go over this way, down just a little bit. There's two benches right here. It covers that Hawlucha. So you're going to want to choose, in order to cover that as well as part of Zone 19, you're going to want to sit in this bench right here. It will cover that Hawlucha. It also has, Budews over here that it'll cover, Pidgey. But if you look right down here, it'll cover a large portion of this corner of Zone 19. It will not reach all the way over there where you see that Alpha Kanga. It won't reach that. It also won't reach the middle, but it will cover the Eevees that spawn in those hedges right there. It'll cover any Furfroos that are there. Anything within 50 yards of that bench in that zone, it will cover. I got a shiny Furfroo just testing it earlier, which is really quite nice. But mostly, I figure people would probably want this one for the Hawlucha because, the new Mega is awesome. The next one that I'm going to show you, you're going to fast travel to Restaurant Le Na. Right over here. I'm sure anybody who watched my stream earlier probably knows exactly what I'm getting ready to cover. However, once you go to the restaurant, just follow the path down these stairs. You'll see the two shops, and then you'll see this bench. If you sit in either one of these benches, really, they both cover the top of the roof there. Or you can even go to these benches, which would probably be even better because it's even closer. But these benches right here will cover the Magikarp that's in here. And then if you run right back up these stairs, it is a battle zone. I'm going to turn it to day so I can show you guys better what I'm talking about. All right. Now that we're not having to contend with the battle zone, if you run up these stairs right over here, not this ladder, but this ladder that goes to this building right here. I'm sure the Dratini has respawned. I'm hoping it's been 4.5 hours since I caught it. It has. It's right there. If you see across this roof, you can just jump, but try to land right there. I mean, you can get up from the side there. There is a Dratini that spawns on this roof. I actually caught it earlier. I managed to catch it as a shiny alpha, which is now a shiny alpha Dragonite. But it does spawn there. And it does have a high likelihood of being an alpha, which is really quite nice. But not only does it cover this, but these benches, especially if you sit in one of these benches, like this one that's real close, it does cover this first part of Zone 11. It'll cover these Claunchers. It'll cover the Stunfisk down there. Anytime there's a Furfrou that is spawned up here, it'll cover it. So it covers a little bit of Zone 11, as well as the Dratini on the roof right there. The next one that I'm going to cover for y'all is going to be over here. If you travel to Wild Zone 6, and then you run around this building, go up these stairs, you'll pass a little bit by the Buneary that are right there. And if you sit in this one, depends really what you want to go for. You can sit in one of these middle two, still cover the Buneary as well as the Swablu on the roof in here. But if you sit in one of these further ones, you'll still get the Buneary and the Swablu. And you'll also come over here and cover the Slowpoke, the Static Alpha Slowbro, these Furfrou. It does not reach the Clawitzer, unfortunately, but it will cover the Stunfisk, the Clauncher, and all that. All good stuff. Great benches right here. So it'll cover a little bit of both 6 and 11. And it'll also cover like that little Clauncher right there right in front of the benches. It'll cover that. And I believe if you sit in one of these further ones, it'll cover this Magikarp right there. It will not cover anything further into the zone though. It'll cover the Buneary and it'll cover the Swablu on the roof. The next place we're going to head to is over here near Rouge Sector 3, up to this North Boulevard. I'm going to say probably about right there. The fastest flight path, probably going to be Restaurant Le Yeah. We went to Le Na, now we're going to Le Yeah. And then just run back here. You can run this way. The biggest part of what I want to show you definitely spawns at night, so we will switch it to night and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Most of the stuff here is fairly normal, however, shiny Kakuna. I was talking, thank you, but I'll take you. Perfect. Okay, so the benches we're talking about are right here. To cover everything that I would want to cover, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put down a little marker so I can show y'all that it is within range. I believe it's this bench right here, but we're looking for stuff that spawns at night. Well, some of it. Some of it spawns anytime. But the big things I wanted to point out, they spawn at night. So once we're at this bench, hopefully my marker is still down because I slept there. Yeah, okay. So the marker's still down. If you go down this street, right here, just around the corner at night, you will have a whole bunch of Scrafty and Scraggy here. A whole bunch of Scraggy and one Scrafty right there. All within range. If you can see my marker, they're only 38 to at maximum 50, so it'll cover all of these little Scraggy and Scrafty that you would otherwise generally have to hunt in the sewers. It also covers the Weedles in these trees right here. But not only that, but it is in range of all of these monkey trees. I have watched these monkeys spawn in different trees. It is in this one right now. but I've seen it in that one. I have seen one in this one, that one. These are all in range right here. So it will cover these trees right here, especially if you were to sit in this further bench. Like if you were okay with just getting Scraggy instead of Scrafty, you can sit in this bench and cover more of these monkey trees, but these monkey trees are in range of that bench as well. If you don't like that, I mean, there's benches all along here. I did not actually have this written down to tell y'all, just because it's pretty obvious, but in case you ran by and you didn't even think about it, down here further, these all along here have the potential to spawn the monkeys. There's benches here that you could sleep in that would affect the monkeys here. As you can see, there's a little guy in that tree right there. These benches right here will also cover the monkey trees on this strip. And further down, there's some more benches that'll cover those down there. So lots of options along this strip to reset for the monkeys. So if you want to just go for like Scraggy and Scrafty, sit in that further one or sit in a closer one to cover Scraggy and the monkeys, you'll also get, you know, the normal stuff like Ekans, Pidgey, Fletchling, Weedle, Kakuna, but you do have access to a lot of the monkey trees as well as Scraggy and Scrafty from this one. The next one that I have to show you is also in the Rouge district. It's kind of in this funky shaped building right here that has the elevator. What you'll want to do is go to Rouge Plaza, or as you would know it, Zone 3. Just run around the corner here a little bit. You'll take this elevator up to the top. This only covers 3 Pokemon, but there are 3 that are a little more on the difficult side to really find. You can either go up the ladder over there, or you can go up and jump up this roof right here. You'll see this Emolga here. It is covered by this. There's a couple of Emolga that spawn up there, but the benches are right here. They're just right here on the roof, so they cover all those Emolgas. But also if you jump down, and on these stands, you'll see Swirlix. There's also some Spritzees that'll spawn, Fletchlings that'll spawn, but there are Spritzees that'll spawn on top of these stands as well. See, there's one right there. That one is covered by the bench, so anything that spawns on these, the Swirlix and the Spritzees, they are covered by the bench up at the top there. I've had a difficult time finding places to reset for all 3 of those, Emolga, Spritzee, and Swirlix. So I figured I'd include this one, even though it's a little bit less than what I would normally include. It deserved an honorable mention. Now another one that all of you are familiar about, I'm not even going to bother to port over there. We're really close to it. I know all of you have probably heard about the stair method for Zone 3, where you go up and down the stairs and you reset for the Litleo, the Skiddo, the Fletchling on top. However, and I'm sure that you've heard people mention this, the stair method does not cover the Pikachu. I have tested it. I've read a couple comments on other people's videos saying, well, I got a Pikachu, you're crazy, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You just got really, really lucky, and congratulations. And I'm a little jealous because I really do want a shiny Pikachu. However, this one seems like it would be obvious, but I think a lot of people overlook it for the stair method. The stair method covers the Litleo, the Skiddo over here, and if a Pancham spawns in there, it covers the Litleos over there, as well as these Flabébés. However, if you sit in any one of these benches, they cover the entire area. So you can still get your Litleo, you can get your Skiddo, you can get those Litleos, you can get the Espers over there, you can get that Flabébé all the way back there, and these Pikachus by resetting in these benches that are surrounding the middle of Zone 3. No, it's not quite as easy as going AFK up and down the stairs, but if you have a turbo controller and you put a rubber band around, you can easily AFK bench method this whole area. Figured this also deserved an honorable mention. The next one that I've got to cover is over here in Magenta Sector 2. The closest flight path is going to be Lysandra Cafe. And yes, I know I'm not saying his name right, or at least I don't think I am. I've heard it pronounced Lysandra. I've heard it pronounced Lysandra. I've heard it pronounced Lysandre. I don't actually know what the correct one is. You're welcome to correct me in the comments. But anyway, there's an elevator right over here. So if you go to the cafe and you just run around until you find the elevator, which is on the other side, right around the corner over here. I still get confused in these streets, even though I have a mini map. Who else does? I definitely do. Anyway, take this up. Once you get to the top up here, you see that Larvitar up there? There's Ekans, there's Budew, Fletchling. They are all covered by this bench right here. So you can check that Larvitar, you can check everything that's over there. The next one I'm going to cover for you guys is Blue Sector 3. The closest place you can go is Cafe Woof. So we're going to travel there. As soon as we get to Cafe Woof, which is just fun to say, I'm not going to lie, we're going to go this way. We're going to go just past the Pokemon Center. And there's a bench right here. And if we sit on this bench and respawn at it, or yeah, we'll respawn at it. And you go up this way and duck in here. Don't go left, that'll take you to the sewers. But if you go right, there's a cute little courtyard. And you get these little Bunnelby and Buneary spawns. They're just chilling. But you can also go up this ladder and it'll cover the stuff on this roof as well. As long as it's within 50 yards, it will cover it. Moving on, we're going to move on to some of the Wild Zone benches that you may have not even thought about, starting with Wild Zone 5. Just fly on over here. Once you get into Wild Zone 5, just take a left right up here and you will see that there are some benches right here. If you choose this one that is closest, it will cover all those Bunnelby, those Venipedes, but it'll also cover the Bellsprout, and that Alpha Bellsprout, depending on where it's standing, will be included in that as well. It can sometimes reach stuff that's up on the roof there, just depending on where it's standing, but it's a pretty good little reset if you want any of these. Also, not to mention that if you sit in one that's a little further over here and you peek right back there, it will cover the Alpha Ampharos, it'll cover the Flappy, and potentially can also cover things that are a little further down, but it will cover those, especially if you sit in this one right here. It'll cover that. However, if you sit in this one, it will not cover the Bellsprout over there. You'd have to sit in this one to get the Bellsprout. The next one I'm going to cover is in Zone 10. This is not one that I ever considered or even realized was there until I was exploring everything. So you run into the entrance, run down past these two Slowpokes, past the Carvana. You're going to be getting yourself into a little bit of trouble as you go. However, you know that there's the Sharpedo here, there's Dynamo that spawn right over here. There's two little Dynamo that spawn. All these Carvana. Run! If you go up these stairs, and there's a Staryu and Slowpokes. If you reset in any single one of these benches, you will include everything below you, everything right here, and partially up to here. If I can hit the button. You will cover some of what's on the roof right up here. It'll cover the Watchogs right there. I don't believe it'll cover anything over on that roof, but it will cover these two right here. Unless you set one of these far benches, it'll probably cover over that roof over there. But it's a good way to reset for a couple of the static alphas, namely the Watchog and the Sharpedo down there. The next one I'm going to cover is going to be in Zone 12. If you want, you know, a shelf of Frostlass. I actually did this reset earlier today just to test it out a little bit and walked away with a Bergmite, a Snover, and a Snow Runt. So that was pretty awesome. But if you go not for these benches. I mean, you could reset in these benches for anything over here. However, if you want to include both of these static alphas, that guy and that guy, then you'll need to sit in this bench right there. And you'll have to be very, very quick. Very, very quick on your resets, hitting your resets, or else, you know, you're going to end up exactly in the same position that I am right now. However, if you sit in that bench or the one that he's jogging past right now, you'll cover all of those guys. You'll cover him, and then that one closer to Avalug will cover both the Abomasnow and the Avalug. It'll also cover the Machoke and the Machop that are on the courts right there. The next one that I'm going to cover for you guys is in Zone 9. If you just take the Zone 9 flight path, I will show you exactly how to get to this bench. I don't know about y'all. I always get confused when I get in here. I never know what ladder leads to where. But if you go right, we're going to run just past the Sableye. We're going to ignore this ladder. Straight past the Kadabra. We're going to go under here. Up the steps. This ladder right here will take you to the Alpha Manectric. Once you get to the top, again, the Alpha's going to be standing right in front of the bench that you need, but you can use those two benches right there to reset for the Alpha Manectric. It will also, if you sit in this one right here, it will cover these two Carbinks right here. It'll cover the Fletchinders down there, but it will not cover the kitty down there, Meowstick, and I do not believe it covers the Mawiles. But we'll test it just to be on the safe side. I'm going to stand here. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to put my pen right on top of myself. That's mostly right on top of myself, I guess. Right there. Okay, we're going to put our pen right there in front of that bench. If we run down here, it'll cover the Carbinks right here. I'm not sure too much about these Mawile. I don't think it will. Yeah, too far away. But it will cover a couple of these Sableyes, and I believe the Mawiles on the ground over here. We will look and see, though. So, if we drop down and look up, yep, we're only 50. So this Mawile right here is covered. It is within the 50 yards. And there's Sableyes under here that will also be covered by that reset position. So make sure you run around and look if you're going to reset there. The next one that I've got to show you is in Zone 7, which I think a lot of people kind of find this zone a little bit boring. It's only got the hippos, but I mean, it's got a few things. It's got a static alpha. Honestly, if you reset at any of these benches in here, you're going to reset the entire zone. So you've got your choice. You've got Audino, you've got Hippopotas, Hippop Anonymous, Hippo. You've got the hippos. You've got the ice cream cones, Shuppet at night, hippos during the day, by the way. You have Roselia, and then you have the static alpha Fletchinder that you can reset for, just resetting at any one of these benches in here. The next one I'm going to show you is going to be right outside of Zone 8, right here. It doesn't cover everything in Zone 8, but it covers a fairly significant amount. We're just going to jog around the zone here until we get to the completely other side. So you see this one bench where people are not sitting. If you sit at this bench and you reset, you'll cover the Camerupt is in range, the Numel there, Sandile. If the Crocorock is zooming around this area, it will cover him. I did get a shiny Sandile testing this out, so that was pretty cool. But you gotta sit in this one that is nearest to the area to be able to cover these guys. I like it to cover the Alpha Camerupt. The next one I'm going to cover is going to be in Zone 17, all the way down here. There's 2 areas that I'm going to specifically cover in Zone 17. The first one is if you sit in this bench right here, you will cover all these where you've got your Diggersby, but these also have a chance to have Chespin in them. It is rare, but you can and will get Chespin in those. You can also do this as like a flight path, which works just as well. The other one I'm going to show you is probably going to get me unalived. Actually, you know what? I'm going to turn it tonight. I'm going to turn it tonight using one of these benches because it's going to make it a whole lot easier. So these benches are good for Diggersby as well as Chespin resets. And the only reason I'm making it night is because I'm sure I'm not the only one that has struggled with these. Oh, yep. Hey, look, there's Chespin. Case in point. But this next one, I'm doing it at night because I'm sure I'm not the only one that has struggled with this pack of lions. They are something. If you sit in this bench right here, it will cover all of the lions. And then if we take the ladder up to the top of this building, it covers everything on top of this building. It covers the Skarmory. It covers the Lampent. And it also covers the Static Alpha Mawile. So it covers all of these. That Skarmory, it covers this whole roof. So it'll cover the lions and then all of this stuff. Oh, the lions are awake. Time to go. The next one we're going to cover is Magenta Sector 7. If you go to this Pokemon Center flight path for the Magenta Pokemon Center, we're going to run right over here. You can just go between the buildings. There's not a whole lot in this one, but what you do find in this one, I feel like makes it worth it. So I'm putting it in here as an honorable mention because I've had a lot of people in my community ask where you can hunt these. If you go into this little courtyard, you will see you've got, you know, Ralts here and a Ralts there. You have 2 Ralts spawns. And if you climb up this ladder in this same courtyard, once we get up here, there are benches. If you sit in this bench right here, you will cover both of those Ralts spawns. There are also Abra and Dedenne that are also in range of this, which is really cool. I haven't found a lot of spots. There's the Abra that is covered by these benches over here. I haven't found a lot of spots to hunt Abra or Dedenne. There's also an Eevee spawn right there. I don't know if you see the little guy. If you sit in this bench, you could cover both of the Ralts in the courtyard. You can cover that Abra. And you can also cover that Eevee spawn that is right there. That will be covered. I've also seen Dedenne up here as well that you can also get. So you can reset at those. I'm pretty sure those will reach that Eevee over there, or this bench which will definitely reach the Eevee and will also reach the Ralts. Just to make sure I am telling you correctly, I will put a pin right where I'm standing. There's the pin. I'm going to jump down. I'm going to run over here to this little Eevee. Hello, little guy or gal. That's only 30 yards. And if you jump down to this Ralts right here, that is 30 yards. And if you go down to this Ralts right here, 32. So it very easily covers all 3 of those very important spawns. 3 things that are very difficult to find a good place to hunt. So I know, again, that's not a lot to show you, but I feel like what you can get from it was worth showing y'all. For the very last thing that I've got to show you, we're going to go on over to Wild Zone 20. We are actually going to take the flight path there. We're not going to go to the Centrico Plaza path, which is this one. We're going to walk right in here, and as soon as you enter, there are benches. Now, if you respawn at this particular bench right here, you will have access to at least one of the alphas in the middle. You'll have Garbodor. It'll hit the Dragalge that spawns over there. Sometimes Malamar spawns in here. But the reason that I choose to reset right here, if you see that Bulbasaur right over there, it spawns. There's a Chikorita that'll spawn right there. Not Feraligatr, but Totodile and Squirtle, they will spawn all right here as well as right here. As you can see, there's a Squirtle. This bench will cover all of those starter spawns as well as Gardevoir, Malamar, Dragalge. Sometimes a Roserade will spawn here, and it'll get one of the alphas that's there in the middle. And then the very last one that I've got to show you is if you come just a little bit further over, there's another series of benches kind of by this little metal area. If you sit in this very first bench, you will cover both alphas in the middle, as well as the stuff back here, the Garbodor, there's sometimes Scrafty, there's Aggron. So all kinds of good things to spawn right there. It'll also cover the Gardevoir. It doesn't quite reach the Bulbasaur over there, but there is a Bulbasaur that'll spawn right here, as well as a Chikorita that'll spawn. So a couple of starters that you can have access to by camping out at these benches. I know that you know about the bench method. It's not something I came up with, but I did a whole lot of exploring. I wanted to try to find benches that were in range of some of the rarer things, you know, that people want to hunt, that are sometimes a little bit more difficult to find, along with some obvious things that maybe people have walked by but never really thought about. So I do hope this guide has helped. For the record, if you don't know what bench respawning is or bench resetting, you literally just sit in these benches and you cycle from day to night, day to night, day to night. And as you do so, it will reset everything in the area around you. Thus, kind of like the flight path method, giving you more chances at a shiny. You can use a turbo controller and just hit it to set A, put a rubber band around your controller and make you walk backwards and make it hit A on the bench. Makes it very, very easy. Anyway, I truly hope this guide has helped y'all. If you want to see a guide like this for like flight paths, like flight path resetting, like the cafes and all that, let me know down in the comments and I'd be happy to do something like that. But otherwise, I truly hope you've been enjoying ZA. I hope the few guides that I have brought to y'all have helped. Let me know in the comments which one of these bench resets you are looking forward to. Don't forget to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, ring the little notification bell so you know when I bring you another guide or I go live. And as always, y'all, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.